Hey everybody, Lee Jordan here with the Ace Pro Connect. Come on in. We have got a great topic today. And pull up a chair. Give me like 8 to 10 minutes and it will pay big dividends. This is the time of year especially to talk about this topic. So I'm just going to take a sip of water, give you a chance to come on in, pull up a virtual chair. If you want to let me know you're here, give me a thumbs up or something. Great. Have any questions? Drop them in. We're going to get ready to get kicked off on this amazingly important topic. And personally, it's going to be very helpful, but really for your clients especially. We're talking about the shame-blame cycle and how to break it. Okay, how to avoid it if to start with, if possible. And so what we're going to do today is I'm just going to quickly explain what this is, what's happening in the brain, talk about kind of the key concepts that are from an evidence-based perspective posted about what to do with yourself and with clients that experience this. And everybody experiences it to one degree or another. And then I'm going to give you kind of the action pieces, the takeaways at the very end that you can utilize in your practice to put this into action. Because if we're just learning about it and talking about it, big deal, right? How do you do it, right? And it's not exactly intuitive with this. So, shame-blame cycle. I don't think I need to explain it, but you've certainly, if you haven't experienced it yourself, you've had clients, and if you haven't had clients that have experienced it, they just haven't told you probably. They maybe haven't brought it forward. And this time of the year, as we move into New Year's and a whole new, beginning, and how that impacts and affects everybody, this is the perfect time for it, right? So think about it. This is what happens with people. Hey, Jessica, great to see you. Arceli, great to see you. So this is what happens with people. Everything that we really are doing, quite frankly, whether you're a personal trainer or whether you're a health coach or a group fitness instructor, at the core of it is behavior change. It's behaviors, right? People do things and they don't want to do them and they do them anyway. They are doing something and they want to stop doing it and they don't. They want to keep, they want to do this thing that they have planned for, that they've learned, that they want to accomplish this. They want to turn it into a habit and it all falls apart, right? So what occurs, and you've experienced this at some level yourself, is that when there's no reason, right? It just, we feel guilt. Like, oh, I can't believe I did it again, or I didn't do it and I meant to do it. We feel guilt. That means that we start to feel some shame around that, especially because we're, we had it planned out so well, and then we begin to blame. Sometimes people will blame others, but usually we blame ourselves. We regret and self-blame, and then we repeat, and it's a cycle we get stuck in. It's very detrimental. It's very challenging. And the brain, it's not just like a characteristic or personality fault, okay? There's something going on in the brain when this occurs, right? And we talked about this a little bit in the past. The prefrontal cortex, the CEO, the adult in the room of your brain, that part of you that is geared towards making choices and decisions and in a smart, effective way, when we go into this shame-blame cycle and we fold in on ourselves, our prefrontal cortex actually gets kicked offline, like it gets frozen almost, and nothing good happens, as you know, right? So how do we break that, right? And there is a way to do it, and it's not exactly intuitive, but let's look at what that is and what the evidence is, right? So first of all, we want to free people, and we want people to free themselves, in essence, and that has a lot to do with what we might call self-acceptance, or to use a term that we read about a lot, unconditional positive regard. Carl Rogers formally captured that phrase, and we use it in health and wellness coaching all the time. And that's where we show up with people and we respect that person for having worth on his or her own for no other reason than they're a person. That's called unconditional positive regard. It's a basic trust from us, the health and wellness professional. It's a basic trust and belief that the person is fundamentally trustworthy and fundamentally has uniquely the power and the ability to do what's best for themselves. They've just gotten a little off kilter at times, right? So what do we do about it? Do we explain to them or teach them? Not really. That's why it's somewhat counterintuitive. That's not really what we do. What we want to do is not just tell them about this is what's going on in your brain, and don't blame yourself and feel kind. Doesn't work like that, right? So I'm going to give at the end of this a couple of very simple ways to do this. But as we get there, let's look at really what the evidence has to say about how to approach this. And to do that, because we're talking about behavior change, let's look at Miller and Rolnick, okay? You've read about them in your ACE, if you're studying ACE at Health and Wellness Coaching. For sure, you've read about them. Now, they're the founders of motivational interviewing, and they've written several things. So helping people change being the primary main text that they've written. But what's important from an evidence science standpoint is there's over 200 random controlled trials that are used motivational interviewing, the things that Miller and Rolnick talk about and have proposed and moved forward, their methodology. And there's over 25,000 cited examples in peer-reviewed journals from Miller and Rolnick. So they are the gold standard of behavior change. Right? So what do they have to say about this? And it's pretty simple. They say, quote unquote, when people experience themselves as unacceptable, they are immobilized, and their ability to change is diminished or blocked. Conversely, when people experience acceptance as they are, they become free to change. This is what the godfathers, if you will, of behavior change have studied and been quoted, and this is what they're telling us. This is what is true. Notice a couple things here. We can look at fMRIs and see in the brain where the prefrontal cortex is knocked offline, paralyzed, blocked, just as they're saying, right? What is causing that? This idea of feeling unaccepted, this self-unacceptance, this diminished quality. This is what people experience when their brain gets into this guilt, shame, blame cycle. Again, think about your clients, think about yourself. How many times have you had an exact thing you knew you wanted to do that was good for you, and yet you didn't do it? Or conversely, there was something that's a choice that is not healthy for yourself that you kind of sworn off, and yet there it rears its head again. So when this occurs, our brain, as I've said, prefrontal cortex, the adult in the room, knocked offline. Lower neural neck, the behavior change, premium experts, gold standard, let us know that this is what's happening. People are being immobilized. They're blocked. However, when they experience acceptance as they are, not acceptance like if you decide to become and you promise to be this, I will support and accept you. No, right now, in the moment, just because they are them, they are accepted, they are heard, they are respected, they are trusted. When that occurs, people become free to change. Pretty much the entire work of Miller and Rollneck is standing on this foundational principle. So think about it this way. Our job as a fitness, wellness coach, trainer, fill in the blank, is actually not to point out where a client has missed, there's the shortcomings, if you will, and then teach them better ways. We're not really in that business. That's not what the client needs. They don't need to really know, oh, you ate this or you did this, do this instead. That's not what we're about. Because sustainable behavior change does not occur that way. But rather, we are in the business of highlighting our clients' strengths and encouraging them to discover their own better ways. And, most importantly, accepting them as they are, where they are, and believing that they're unique and they're trustworthy to discover their own way forward. We're going to work with them. It's going to be teamwork makes the dream work. So, and the tips are coming and then we're done. Think about it like this. As things occur with your clients coming into the new year, and as they send you signals of blame and regret about something, or I just need to get it, whatever it might be, don't think about it as a teaching moment. Like, okay, I got all the stuff and the list and the protocols, and I'm going to teach it to you, and we're going to move forward. When these opportunities come up for you, it's not a teaching moment. It's an asking moment. And this is where my tips are going to come in here. So it's an asking moment. And what does ask mean? It means to explore, right? So as you're talking with a client and you're moving forward with the plan, whether you're doing goals, SMART goals, experiments, whatever terminology you're putting on the plan forward, and as you're reviewing what's occurring week to week, day to day, as you're having conversations with them, perhaps through doing a live or doing face-to-face or doing via Zoom or texting or apps, ask something like these 3 questions. These are ones that I constantly use that work really well. let's explore the full experience of the past week. So you're just kind of laying that out there. Instead of saying kind of what happened, what went right, what didn't go right, let's explore the full experience of the past week. That's very open, and that allows them space and grace to talk about what's occurred in any format that they want. Number 2, now this is a little more directive in the sense that you're setting it up. What was the best part of this past week? You're leaning into positive psychology, helping them elevate what they feel was a win. And then, always a key item every week, every conversation, what did we learn? You're not telling them what they learned. You're not explaining to them what they can do differently. You're simply asking them, you're exploring with them, what did we learn? This is where their own ideas will come up. What we're doing is we're highlighting situations for them to be autonomous. By asking them what was the best part of the week, we're looking at ways to stack wins to increase self-efficacy. We know from any conversation that I've probably ever had here with anybody that absolutely increased autonomy and self-efficacy are necessary and critical for sustainable change to occur with clients. So, people hear what we say, but they really listen to what we do. And so that's why we want to offer to them, through our actions, opportunities for them to be in the lead, but we're positioning it. And these 3, let's explore the full experience of your past week. What was the best thing that happened last week for you? What did we learn? Those are 3 great examples. Because ultimately, inside of your mind, you know, and you might end up, as things develop, laying this out point blank for people, but do not lead with it. What you want them to do is to move from this idea of guilt, shame, blame, repeat, to something that's more empowering, which is sort of, identify what happened, own it, forgive, not blame, and advance. See the difference? One is a cycle of regret and guilt and blame and shame and self-destruction. The other one is simply owning it, claiming it, being accepting of it, forgiving oneself if you feel like it's necessary, and advancing through it, thriving through, moving forward, learning and growing a growth mindset. There we go. So that's it. If you have any questions, ask away. You can always hit me up on the app. I would love to hear from you, and any questions or ideas that you might have would be wonderful. There's so much opportunity for us over the course of the next 60 to 90 days. Q1 is filled with opportunity to impact people's lives and to grow your practice. Thanks again, everybody. Have a great day. Enjoy New Year's. We're almost there.